The afternoon sun hung lazily over Belmore City, its rays catching on the polished chrome of luxury cars gliding past boutique-lined streets. In the heart of the district stood the tall glass facade of the Azure Royale Hotel, owned by the wealthy and feared Adeyemi family. Inside its top-floor suite, Aisha Adeyemi lounged on a cream leather chaise, sipping an iced mango mocktail from a crystal glass. She wore a silk blouse the color of champagne, her nails tipped with gold, her lips curved in a smirk that seemed permanent. Down below, the street bustled with market women calling out prices, school children weaving through traffic, and vendors pushing carts stacked with plantains and yams. It was a world Aisha rarely glanced at, unless she was laughing at it. That day, however, her eyes caught on an old woman standing by a puddle in front of the hotel. Her wrapper was faded and fraying, the headscarf barely clinging to her wispy gray hair. She clutched a woven basket of vegetables that looked as tired as she did. People passed her without a word, though a few snickered quietly at her appearance. Aisha's grin widened. "Look at that, Mariam," she said to her best friend sprawled beside her. "Like a walking relic standing in front of my hotel. She's going to scare off the guests." Mariam giggled, leaning over the balcony rail. "Do something about it." Minutes later, Aisha was outside. A driver had just pulled up, splashing water onto the curb. The puddle shimmered at her feet. She waited until the old woman stepped closer, then deliberately strode through, sending a spray of muddy water over the woman's legs and wrapper. The old woman staggered back, gasping softly. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Aisha said with mock sweetness. "I'd offer you a room upstairs to clean up, but you wouldn't exactly fit the decor." The old woman lifted her gaze. Her eyes were clear yet impossibly deep, like they had seen too many lives pass. Her voice was steady, though barely above a whisper. "Child, the earth is patient, but it always remembers." Aisha laughed outright. "What is that supposed to mean? Some street proverb?" She turned to Mariam. "Hear that? She's threatening me with nature." The old woman adjusted her basket, still dripping with muddy water. "Tomorrow you will understand." Then she walked away, each step deliberate, her back impossibly straight for someone her age. By the time night fell, Aisha had forgotten her entirely. She was at the Indigo Sky Lounge, a rooftop bar where the music was low, the cocktails were overpriced, and everyone wore something you couldn't find in a mall. She retold the incident like it was a joke, mimicking the old woman's voice and earning loud laughter from her circle. But mid-laughter, her gaze snagged on a figure near the far railing. Thin frame, faded wrapper, the same headscarf. She was staring directly at Aisha. When Aisha blinked, the woman was gone. The next morning began with Aisha's mother calling her into the family study. "Do you know what you've done?" Mrs. Adeyemi's tone was clipped, her eyes sharp. "Not this again," Aisha groaned. This morning, 2 major event contracts were cancelled without explanation. Guests are checking out of the hotel in the middle of the night. And strange complaints are coming in. Dripping ceilings, pools turning icy cold without cause. Aisha rolled her eyes. "That's plumbing, not my problem." Her mother's lips pressed thin. "The Adeyemi name is our business. Whatever you did to attract trouble, fix it before it spreads." Did spread. By evening, rumors about her were everywhere. On blogs, whispered in salons, murmured by staff who avoided her gaze. Her favorite boutique turned her away at the door. Even Mariam stopped answering her calls. And every room she entered seemed to have the same small, clay pot sitting somewhere. On a shelf by the bed on a counter, each holding a single wilting plant, leaves brittle but dripping with cold water. Sleep offered no escape. In her dreams, she stood knee-deep in black water under a sky without stars, hearing the old woman's voice hum a low, wordless tune that vibrated through her bones. When she woke, the sheets were damp, her skin chilled. On the 3rd day, desperate, she drove into the oldest part of Belmore, where narrow roads curled around leaning houses and the air smelled faintly of rain-soaked earth. She found herself at a small open-air market where the stalls seemed untouched by time. And there she was, The old woman stood behind a table laden with vegetables fresher than any Aisha had ever seen, their colors rich and almost luminous in the late afternoon light. "You've been searching for me," the woman said without looking up. "I need to know what you want from me," Aisha said. The woman finally raised her eyes. "I want you to feel the weight of what you've done. Not the splash of water, but the rot of arrogance that drips from your tongue. My family once fed this city from our farm until the land was taken and flooded for a hotel project. I built my life again with my hands in the soil. You mocked that soil yesterday." Aisha's voice faltered. "What can I do?" "When the sun rises tomorrow," the old woman said, "you will come to the edge of the river with a basket heavier than your pride. You will plant life into its banks until your hands bleed. If you stop before the work is done, the river will claim you before the moon sets. That is the only way the water will warm for you again." A gust of wind rattled the vegetables on the table. When Aisha blinked, the woman was gone, leaving only a large woven basket at her feet, heavy with seedlings and soil. That night Aisha couldn't sleep. She sat in the silent hotel suite, listening to the distant sound of rushing water. And for the first time in her life, she understood that some debts could not be paid in money.